Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I feel like my shirt is a little bit naked. Also, I'm kind of sort of blending in here. So I haven't done a Q&A in quite some time, so I figured that it would be good to do one. It would be a good way to kind of have a little bit of a catch up and a check-in with everyone. Something kind of fun like that. But there was some really amazing questions, as we are gonna see. And I might start doing a weekly like hashtag Ask Sophie kind of thing and deal with a topic or a conversation starter or a question or something just every week. But yeah, so if you think that's a good idea, make sure you DM me with your questions, and I would love to maybe do something like that. I think it could be quite fun because it gets you guys involved as well. So I'm at Sophie Milner _FS on Instagram, and yeah, okay, I'm just gonna go. I'm sorry, just looking back through some of these and they're really weird. Some of them are. I mean, do you like stockings? That was one that got asked a bit odd. First of all, very simple. Valeria _Demao Mayo. How tall are you? I am 5'3", so quite short, but not really short. Are you an only child? Do you see your parents much? And this is from Sophie Amelia C. I am not an only child. I have an older sister and a half brother. I don't really see my half brother very much, and me and my older sister we're not close. So that's it. My views on marriage from Sam Lou Louise. So this is quite an interesting one. My views on marriage is really interesting. So for me, growing up, I always really wanted to get married. I always wanted to get married. I always wanted this kind of fairy tale marriage and family. Well, just a husband. I'm not really that fussed about kids. I want kids eventually, but yeah. And I think it's really interesting. A lot of my friends are in very long-term relationships for their ages, around about between 4 or 5 to 8 years, so quite long-term things. And they live with their boyfriends, they bought places in London, so it's really amazing. But none of them really give a shit about marriage. I've got 2 friends that are actually engaged, and I think marriage for them was both quite a big deal, whereas for my other friends, they're like, meh, don't really care. And I'm the same. I'm in a group of girls that we're not really that fussed about like marriage. I really want to wear a wedding dress. I really want to wear a wedding dress, but that's about it. And also, I don't know, I love the idea of marriage, but realistically so many end in divorce. I think that nowadays this society that we're in doesn't value marriage in the way that we used to. For myself personally, when I think about marriage, I kind of worry and think you're spending the rest of your life with that person. That's scary, and that is a big fucking deal. But I hope that more is a reflection on the fact that I just simply haven't met anyone that I want to spend the rest of my life with, and that is yet to come. I'm not in a rush to find it. I honestly still feel like I'm too young to be settling down, but you know, that's just my perspective. Okay, this one, Sarah saying how to deal with not feeling like you're enough at your job or like you have imposter syndrome. I don't think I've got an answer for this, but I do want to talk about it. So I get this a lot. I go through phases where I'm like totally cool and I'm like, yeah, you know what, what I do is really valuable and really awesome and I'm really good at what I do. And then I have times where I think I'm not good enough. It's been happening a lot more, swaying towards that I'm not good enough this week. And I think it's because, you know, my Instagram hasn't been doing as well as usual. It's like little things like that realistically, in the grand scheme of life, really isn't a big deal. And I think, you know, I used to feel like this at my old job when I worked in an office, and it's because I was comparing myself to other people in the office. And there was a girl in my team who was a real like kind of goody two-shoes brown noser kind of person, and she made like me comparing myself, I was a good employee, but comparing myself to her because she was this exact same job as me, it made me feel like I was so shit at what I did, and actually I wasn't. And I remember having my appraisals with my manager, and I would mark myself so harshly as a result, and my managers would always get really annoyed at me, being like, you are so self-critical. I think if we didn't compare ourselves to others, and it's a very natural thing to do, but if we didn't compare ourselves to others, we probably wouldn't be so self-critical on ourselves. So just try and really stay in your lane. I always go back to Cardi B's lyrics in Living My Best Life. Yeah, it's Living My Best Life. She says, ain't no more beefing, I'm just keeping to myself. I'm my own competition, I'm competing with myself, and I think that kind of really helps me mentally stay in my own lane. Jessica Patterson, what's it like living in London? Thinking of making the move from the States. Well, I don't know where you live in the States, so I don't know how to compare it to. But I have been to America several times. I love London. I love it so much. I always dreamed of moving here, and eventually I also dreamt of moving to New York, and I haven't done that yet. Maybe one day, who knows. But I absolutely love London. It's incredible. If you come from a city in America, it's always the same kind of thing, but it's just so busy. Some people hate that, some people love it. Personally, I come from a very small town, so I love how busy it is. I love how it feels like there are so many people around. Yes, it can be an isolating city in some ways, because it's weird, because sometimes there are so many people around, but you can feel quite alone. But no, I love it. Definitely, if you're in a position to do it, move here. Although, what with Brexit coming up, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if it's a good idea. This is from Capture Nicola. I wanted to pronounce that Nicola then. I don't know why. Okay, how do you deal with loneliness and learn to be okay in your own company? So this is something that, I'll be really honest, I think stems quite a bit from my childhood. I'm going all therapist on you right now. Like I said, I'm not very close with my sister. I wasn't really growing up. I didn't live near any of my school friends, so if I was seeing my school friends, I couldn't just like knock around for them or go up the road. It had to be a pre-arranged sort of like play date kind of thing. So I have always kind of been sort of alone. I would play with my Barbie dolls by myself. I would play The Sims growing up. I would be on MSN talking to my friends after school, and instead of out hanging out with them, because I had no one to hang out that lived with me. So I think actually, like, I've always kind of been, I wouldn't say isolated, but I've always been more independent in that sense. So it's definitely not been a bad thing, because it means that I do deal with being lonely. And I think the more by yourself you are, the better you become at being in your own company. I think when I started working for myself full time, and then when I was single 6 months later, I was very alone, but I really enjoyed having the independence. So I think you just really need to spin it and like look at the positives of it. I can still feel lonely sometimes. I do go through phases where I feel like super lonely, and I get a bit needy, and then I just kind of call on my friends and just be like, hey, what are you doing? And if they're all busy, I'm like, okay, well, please make time for me, because I will just be really upfront and say, feeling a bit lonely, feeling a bit needy, please give me attention. Like, that is as simple as that. I call my mom, I go somewhere where there's a lot of people and do something kind of fun. Like, I will go to a busy gallery or a cafe and just read my book, but just kind of like soaking in the fact that there's human interaction around me. God, I sound like a sad person. But yeah, I think more than anything, it's just more important to get really confident and happy in your own company. Food, life, and thoughts on if blog posts are still relevant. Yes, I think they are. Also, I love food, life, and I DM her quite a bit, so hi babe. thanks for asking the question. I personally do think they're still relevant. I think it's very important for people who have Instagram to also have a blog and to utilize that like quite well, because you don't necessarily know what's going to happen with Instagram. So I think it's really important to have several different channels. And also I think it's kind of something that can really set you apart if you think about future employers, things like that. For me, I write because I am a writer. I've done 2 journalism degrees, a BA in journalism, media, cultural studies, and an MA in fashion journalism at Central St. Martin's. That answers somebody else's question because I know it was in there. There will always be a place for writing, but video obviously, and here I am on video. I think video is obviously the future. But people will always still read, so it's just, you just got to stay relevant and just write about things that are relevant to people. Okay, where is somewhere where you want to travel to? Oh my god, there's so many places on this list. So, just got back from Bali and I really want to do Sri Lanka. I love Asia, so I'd like to do Hong Kong and Singapore and Seoul. In South Korea. I always worry that I'm not pronouncing that right. I'm so sorry if I pronounce that wrong. And I'd love to go back to Tokyo as well and do a bit more of Japan. Yeah, I would love to kind of do all that kind of area of Asia minus Sri Lanka. I can do that on a separate trip, but I'd like to do all that. I don't know, it's just really cool. And the Caribbean, I'd like to do places in the Caribbean. There are loads of places, but mostly right now my calling feels more towards Asia and that kind of side of it all. Caroline Elif. Is quarter life crisis a thing? Yes. I actually feel like it is, but I think instead of like, you know, the midlife crisis is a bit of a joke where your dad goes out and buys a two-seater sports car. My dad did. Yes, I am gonna shame him on here. Yes, he did, and yeah, sorry, I'm not gonna embarrass him anymore. Sorry, Dad. But yeah, so I think midlife crisis is a thing. I think quarter life crisis is definitely there, but I think it's more of a mental and emotional thing rather than something that necessarily manifests quite physically into objects. So I feel like I definitely had one at 25. I was at a stage where I think mine was more at 24. I'd done these 2 degrees and I felt like I wasn't really getting anywhere with them and no one was employing me, and I had like these amazing qualifications and I felt like honestly depressed. I felt awful. I felt like I felt completely stuck and like I'd never get anywhere. So I think quarter life crisis is a thing, but perhaps it just manifests a little bit more emotionally and plays on the mental side of things. Shaving / waxing tips down there. Waxing is a total bitch because first of all it's painful. Some people claim that it gets less painful every time you go. I don't agree. It's been the same amount of pain ever since I've been getting it done. I would say maybe look into laser because that's what I'm doing. So the issue with shaving for me grows back, like literally it's stubbly the next day. You get a shaving rash, it's uncomfortable, it's itchy, it's also fucking tricky, like, you know, doing it down there. So not the best. Waxing is a bitch because obviously you have to let it grow back. I went on holiday, I also got caught out. So when I booked my Bali trip, I booked it 3-4 days in advance of going, and I was in the wrong waxing stage. But as anyone who waxes knows, going back to shaving when you've been waxing is just not what you want to do. So I didn't want to go on holiday and shave, so I took the Veet waxing strips away with me, which I've used before and it was fine. As you might have seen in my Marrakesh vlog, I actually waxed my vagina on the vlog. But I took them away with me and was like, right, when it gets a little bit too bushy, I'm gonna wax it. So I did, and I gave myself bruises. I didn't do all of it, I just did like the bikini line, because high leg bikinis are in right now, and doesn't really agree with me when I'm in that awkward having to grow back stage. So I waxed them, it left a bruise because I didn't pull the skin tight enough. And instead of rocking the Hairy Mary with my high leg briefs, I was rocking 2 big bruises instead. And quite a lot of hair was still left. So yeah, I would recommend looking into possibly getting laser. This is Steph Fox Travel. Do your Louis Vuitton boots hurt your feet? Can you wear them for long periods of time? I can. I find them really, really, really comfortable. They're a little bit uncomfortable on that bit of your toe at first because they're a little bit stiff, but it's not like you can't walk in them more. It just feels a little bit like awkward to walk more than anything else. So yeah, I personally find them really comfortable. But that said, I really don't like, take what I say with a pinch of salt because I know everyone's different. I have recommended people the Gucci sandals that I have, and then someone came at me and was like, oh, you said they were comfortable and they're really, really painful and I feel like I've wasted this money because I can't wear them. And I was like, oh shit, because I find them one of the most comfortable pairs of shoes that I have. So yeah, try them on in store, have a walk around, but I do find them comfortable. Please don't blame me if you buy them and they're not very comfy. Okay, this is also from Caroline Elif. I'm really sorry, I don't know what the Elif stands for. It's a last name. That's a cool last name. So why do the girls at the age of 27-28 feel old as fuck compared to themselves to 28-year-olds? Once again, this is kind of something that I can't really relate to because I don't feel old, and I'm not sure if it's like a place thing. And that's quite surprising actually, because if I think about it, a lot of my friends are in very serious relationships and they're all quite settled down, so perhaps I should feel old, but I just don't. I feel like I did when I was 20. Yeah, I don't know, I think it's because I live in London. I'm not sure where you live, but in London, no one grows up. It's like a city full of Peter Pans. Nobody grows up till quite a late age, and everyone everyone matures at a later stage here. And I think I read like that the average age of a first time mother in London in 2018 was 37. which is insane if you think about it, but also so refreshing because it means I've got plenty of time to pop out a sprog. So yeah, how do you like living in London? Does it feel lonely sometimes? From my Kalili. Sorry if I've done that wrong as well. I feel like I've answered this in the other questions about loneliness and stuff, so I hope I've answered that well. Oh, Mary O'Reilly, all-time favorite piece you own and why? I'm gonna do more of a video on my favorite pieces, but I think my favorite piece, the one that I get really excited about every single time I pick it up, I think would have to be my Chloe jacket. What one thing have you told yourself not to worry about in 2019? I really like this one. Because you want to know what I started this year. I'm a worrier. I worry about everything. I'm a very anxious person. So I told myself that I need to stop putting so much pressure on myself to be perfect, and that's the main thing. I really beat myself up for the smallest thing that I do wrong. The smallest little thing, I will really mentally punish myself for it and be like, you're so fucking stupid, you're such an idiot, like, oh, that person's so much better than you, blah blah blah, like, you could have done this so much better, could have done better, should have done better. And that's always something that's in my mind. So I purposely set out in 2019 setting no real goals. The only goal I set myself was to be kinder to myself. And it doesn't mean that I'm not going to start doing any goals this year. Like, I am going to implement them, but I just felt I just needed to, it was something that I needed to take the pressure off. So for me, it's just all about taking the pressure off myself this year to be perfect and to just not worry about that. And I've been doing quite well at it so far. It's taken, you know, a lot of unpicking things, and I go through phases where I'm really good at like being like, oh fuck it, whatever. But you know, other times I struggle with things a lot more. So, you know, it just is what it is. But we will see how I continue with this. Okay, I'm just gonna do a couple more quick ones. So, the Love Cats ink. What inspires your writing the most? Experience, just my real life experiences and conversations. And I write about anything and everything, opinions, what's happened, like just anything. I think that's the fun with blogs. You're not controlled by an editor. You can write what you want. It's your own thing. From Catherine Louise, what A levels did you take? I took English literature, English language, separate psychology, and media studies. So don't let anyone ever tell you your media studies A level will not take you anywhere, because look at me now. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll be back with more regular videos, and make sure you follow me on Instagram at Sophie Milner _FS, and I'll see you guys all very soon.